Hi everyone, Ron Crider here. I am the Chief Executive Officer of Panorama Rooftop. I'm also the conceptual engineer involved with designing all of the communications aspects of this project, including the broadcast and the towers. We call it above all because we are the highest elevation of any building allowed in the central to northern part of the Miami area, 860 feet to 984 feet. The actual top of the tower is 1,049 feet. However, the center of radiation for the FM antenna is 984 feet. Panorama Rooftop is locally owned and operated. Panorama Rooftop, Inc. is the operating company that operates the antenna towers and space on the top of the building, and we have a 75-year lease with the Panorama building. The Panorama building is also locally owned and operated by the Hollow family. All right, everyone, here we go. This is a non-scripted presentation. I put this together for a couple of people who asked me to do so, so here we go. This is off the cuff. First, let me tell you, only Miami has Panorama 2023. Now, as you know, New York has the Empire State Building, 4 Times Square, One World Trade Center. Chicago has the Willis Tower and the Hancock Center. All these are iconic communication sites, no question about it. And I want to say another thing. Did we reflect some of their ideas? Borrow some of their ideas? Absolutely we did. Why did we do that? Because they were a great inspiration to us. They're the granddad of the whole operation, especially the Empire State Building. Empire State Building started out with the communications facility, then it was passed on to the World Trade Center, and the World Trade Center is really the latest and best that has been built recently. We like all the ideas that they have. We're just going to try to improve on their ideas and provide the world's best state-of-the-art communication site today, and it will be in Miami, in the heart of Miami. Taking a look now at the 75 point-to-point antennas. Those antennas are located beneath the tower in that circle. They're a little hard to see because this picture is kind of small, but they're round, very similar to One World Trade Center in New York. 75 of these antennas are located at approximately 875 feet. Very short transmission lines because right beneath that is where we have our rooms for the equipment. Therefore, the lines are going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe about 100 feet. There's plenty of room up there to mount them. They're very easy to mount. It's easy to get to, extremely easy access to these antennas, and obviously they're very easy to maintain. We supply and maintain all the mounting and infrastructure for these antennas, including the transmission line and backup lines. We have numerous backup lines running from all over the central part of our transmission facility up there, so that if any of the lines should fail or you should have issues with those lines, we'll be able to give you an instant fast line. It's for cellular, government, TV, radio, and public service. Once again, it's above it all, and it's a really great look angle out about 44 miles. Here's an example of the transmitter rooms we're going to have on the top of the building. We have 8,000 square feet. Actually, it's 16,000 square feet because it's 2 stories high. There's a floor above the transmitters where you can install combiners or a dummy load if you so desire. So there's 16,000 square feet, 8,000 square feet just for the transmitter rooms. Each room is separate for the primary broadcasters, the FM broadcasters, TV broadcasters. Dual HVA systems in each one of the transmitter rooms for the big broadcasters, for the FM and TV guys, and they can be either alternate main or standby system. We also have auto power transfer, specialty security locks on all of the doors with cameras observing everything that's going on up there. We have 24 cameras in the system. We also provide electricity right to your equipment. Our electricians will wire it into your box in your room, and then from there over to your equipment. You give us a layout, tell us how you want it to be wired. Our electrical people will do that for you. So there's no building permit required on your part. You just bring in your transmitter equipment and processing and that sort of thing, and everything from the output of your transmitter to the input of the antenna is taken care of by us. We have backup lines as well. Plenty of space for clean, efficient layout of your transmission system. Now, some of the smaller rooms will have for the communications guys, such as the point-to-point people and so forth. They may be occupied with other people. However, if a requirement is a special requirement, we can give them special rooms. We do have plenty of room up there with that 8,000 square feet. Of course, we always think of safety first. RF shielded rooms, all of the rooms that you will be putting your equipment in or operating from on the top of the building will be RF shielded by LBA and Associates. Conductive material lining on all of the walls and doors. 100 dB of attenuation. So it's safety first, and we're doing everything we possibly can to keep that RF radiation down as much as possible. Of course, as I mentioned before, we provide all the power to your transmitter room right up to your equipment. Therefore, you don't need to have an electrical or building permit in order to do this. We're bringing 6,000 amps of power from the ground floor all the way up to the roof. Obviously, there are 4 wires involved in that. We're putting in 8 wires, so we have extra wires. In the event that one of those wires should fail, or several of them, we'll be able to very quickly switch over to the extra wires that we have in the chase there. We provide all the power again, as I said, up to your equipment. We also include a dedicated breaker box in your room to your specifications. So there's plenty of power, extra cables. Everything is oversized. I say here 200% oversized. I don't really mean that we've oversized the wires by 200%, but we definitely have oversized the wiring and put extra wiring in. So if we have any kind of a failure, we'll be able to take care of it. And that's why we constantly say we're above it all. Now we're taking a look at the transmission lines. As you know, one of the weakest links in the RF transmission system for radio and TV stations, especially stations on top of tall towers like 1,800-foot, 1,500-foot, 2,000-foot towers, 1,000-foot towers. You're on a 1,000-foot tower, you have at least 1,000 feet of transmission line. Much of that line is in 20-foot rigid sections with those O-rings in them. Obviously, here in South Florida, when you start getting a lot of wind, and the wind causes the tower to move just a little bit, and if they're not just totally fastened down, you're going to have some issues with your transmission line eventually. And it's very expensive, as you know, to repair that transmission line. Get up on the tower and start making those repairs and switching out the 20-foot sections and so forth. Here at Panorama, our lines are pretty much under 100 feet for all of the lines. Most of the lines we're going to use some form of Helix, so we don't have a lot of connections, so everything should remain pretty much steady all the way through. And in addition to that, to our antennas, to most of the antennas, we're going to have spare backup lines. They're always available. So in the event that we should have a problem with one of the lines, it would take no time at all to instantly go out and make that change. It would not require a tower crew to come in there and do it, because the antenna is going to be located right above the transmitter rooms. As we say, we have the backup lines, we have backup dehydrators. We supply all the transmission lines that are located on the building because we want to be able to maintain them for you. Our people will know exactly where they are, and we will have the ability to make changes if you need something done in a hurry. And as I say, we have plenty of backup lines, and that's why we again say we're above it all. Another feature of Panorama is we provide the dummy loads. We have two 50 kW TV loads and two 50 kW FM loads. These loads are patched directly over to your transmitter area for immediate use. We also have digital power meters for those. As you know, every station occasionally needs a dummy load, and we have them available 24/7. You're certainly welcome to bring your own, but why do that when we have the most recent 2023 dummy loads available for you? All our transmitter rooms have dual HVAC backup systems. We supply all the HVAC systems and we maintain them. They operate in a dual backup mode. Never be without cooling. You know what it's like here in South Florida. If your air conditioning system goes out, your transmitter room gets very hot very fast. We keep our cool. We keep you cool. Cooling is a must here in South Florida, and we've got you covered. That's because we're above it all. Alrighty, folks, here we go with our engineering shop on site on your floor. On the transmitter floor is an engineering shop. The shop has drill press, a lathe, very specialized tools. We have a spectrum analyzer. I think we may have two spectrum analyzers there. We also have some dummy loads in there, up to 50 kW, another dummy load there. This is something that's very, very important. Of course, our shop is on the backup electrical system as well. So if you have an issue or there's a problem and we're running on backup power, the shop is going to be lit up the whole time. We have lots of specialized tools in there, and if you tell us what you need and you don't have it, we'll get it for you. We want to make sure that everything you need is going to be available. So if you need it, we have it, or we'll get it for you. Your wish is our command to keep you on there. And also remember this, we're going to have our own engineers there, especially during bad weather conditions. Our engineers are going to be on the site all the time. You don't have to worry about having your guys over there. We're going to try to take care of just about everything. We're going to work this as a team, so we want to get everybody together and have you folks meet with our engineers so we can help you the best way we can. But our people will be on duty during the severe storms. Alrighty, folks, when all else fails, we have special backup TV and radio studios. Our radio studios have digital boards. We can handle about 6 radio stations and maybe about 4 TV stations. It's not going to be fantastic studios, but to be able to keep you on the air. We're ready for you no matter what happens. By the way, there is an extra charge if we have to supply you with Betsy there. She's always available to give us a hand, but there is a little bit of an extra charge for Betsy. Nonetheless, yes, we are equipped to be able to take care of you. I mean, you have a lot of ways to connect to the tower site with the internet and with the point-to-point antennas and so forth and so on. But if your studios get blown away, you need to stay on the air, and you can from our place because we got you covered with the generator and the special studios. For the FM master antenna system, we're going to be using the Allen Dick antenna. I've been personally using the Allen Dick antenna since 1980-85. I used it in Orlando, Jacksonville, New Orleans, and in Fort Lauderdale. They're very reliable antennas and combiners. We particularly want to put something in I call them the Rolls-Royce of antennas. They're very, very, very reliable. Most of the major stations in Europe use Allen & Dick, and they're manufactured in England. The company is owned by the Jampro Antenna Company in the United States, and they're the ones that are putting this together for us. The FM Master Antenna System will accommodate 8 high-power FM stations with a center of radiation above 984 feet to maintain the full Class C status of the South Florida FM stations. Here we see a slide on the master UHF and VHF antenna systems. Once again, we're using the Allen Dick antenna system. These will accommodate 8 each of the high-power stations. Allen Dick will also manufacture the combiners for these stations. This antenna will be located immediately underneath the FM antenna. Here we see the federal government slide. A number of federal government agencies have chosen to use Panorama as their central communications point. Their antennas are being installed at this time in March of 2023. Radio stations currently using the Panorama Tower site on the temporary antenna are stations by SBS, Spanish Broadcasting Systems. At the moment, they have 4 stations broadcasting from this temporary antenna system. Ultimately, they will move over to the new master FM antenna system. As I mentioned in the SBS slide, this is the Panorama Auxiliary Antenna System. This has been in service since 2020. The special Shively broadband antenna for SBS. SBS will ultimately, as I said, move over to the new master antenna system in 2023. This tower will remain in service as a backup structure, and we'll put all sorts of specialized antennas on there for some of the low-power FM stations. Here we see the government inspectors checking out our RF grounding and protection system on the upper part of the building. Notice if you see the little white lettering here on the right side, kind of slanting up and down, it says RF protection web. This is a bunch of web wires that you'll see all over the top of the building. This suppresses the RF from the antennas coming down into the building and protecting the people that are in the building. Safety first, as we say. So far, we've passed with flying colors. Here's one of the SBS slides I put up here just so you can get an idea of their FCC record. This station is broadcasting at 17,000 watts ERP. They're above sea level of 860 feet. This is when they're on the little tower. I just showed you the tower that is what we refer to as the utility tower, the auxiliary tower, the backup tower. I also put it here so you can see the coordinates that are registered as 25, 45, 48, and north 80, 11, 26. So this is one of the stations that are broadcasting from Panorama. They've been there since about 2020. Here's another station that received FCC approval in December the 30th of 2022. This is WDNA 88.9. It's the jazz station in Miami. And I put their technical information over here on the right-hand side. They'll be broadcasting with 10 kW ERP, and they're at 860 feet above sea level. The coordinates again are 25, 45, 48. And it would be 80, 11, 26. And they're actually moving from the big, tall 1,800-foot tower in southwest Miami up to us here at Panorama. We're very happy to have them on board with us. By the way, as a side note, it's interesting to note that they came from this tall tower up to Miami to us. They're located about 13, 14 miles southwest of Panorama. They just went through an incredibly expensive problem with their long transmission line. I think they had about 1,100 feet of transmission line that fell apart, and it was a really, really big, expensive proposition. And as far as they were concerned, it's time to move, and they're coming to our place mainly because of the transmission line issues, and actually they're going to get a little bit better coverage. As I mentioned in a previous slide, all of our FCC engineering is done by Carl T. Jones and Associates in Washington, D.C. Actually, I think they're in Springfield, just a little bit outside of Washington. Engineering firm's been around for at least 80 years. These guys are outstanding. They do our frequency coordination of all the frequencies on the roof, and in addition to that, they do all the FCC engineering. You're moving to our site, they will do your FCC engineering for you. They have all the data on all of our antenna systems. They know about any kind of interference that may be developed because of one station versus another station. They're really wired into exactly what we're doing. You can have your own engineer do it if you want, but we prefer that you use Carl T. Jones. Having one engineer overseeing all the operations up there makes it really easy for everyone. This is very important for our point-to-point folks, the radio horizon or line of sight broadcasting at 984 feet and 860 feet. So this is a chart that indicates where that radio horizon is or the line of sight. And basically it goes to a little bit north of Boca Raton for both of them. I made one with a circle on it, and it had a couple of red lines, and they were almost next door to each other. There's very little difference between 860 and 984 feet. This will take you a little bit north of Boca with line of sight, a little bit south down to Key Largo. Someone asked me just a little bit ago regarding the 860 feet, what's the service area? 41 miles versus 35.9 miles. 35.9 miles is the radio horizon. 41.4 miles is the line of sight. At 984 feet, it's 38.4 miles for the radio horizon, and the line of sight is 44.33 miles. Okay, folks, here we go with the internet at Panorama. We have internet, you name it, we got it. We have fiber, cable, satellite, and point-to-point. I presume most of the TV stations will be probably using point-to-point or their microwave to get the signal from the TV station over to the building. Obviously, this is the umbilical cord for your STL, Studio Transmitter Link, and it is an absolute must. So we have 4 ways for you to get it over there. We take care of it for you. We install it for you. We have plenty of static IPs, automatic switchover relays, so in the event that one of them fails, it flops over to the other. We have you covered in all the fronts, fiber being probably the most reliable other than the actual STL microwave point-to-point. So whatever you need, we have you covered here, and just let us know what you'd like to have, and we'll be happy to have it up there for you. Alrighty, folks, now we're talking about generators. We're going to have 4 500 kW generators in the building. They'll be located on the 18th floor, thereby avoiding getting them flooded out like happened at the Willis Tower a couple of years ago. They had a terrible, terrible power failure up there. All of a sudden, there was a big flood, and the flood came in and flooded out the generators, and they didn't have any power on the top of the Willis Tower. Not a good deal. So ours will be on the 18th floor, 4 500 kW units, and they're, of course, on automatic transfer switches. Transfer switches are on the 18th floor, and it should be really good. Now, here's the deal. There are 4 generators, and the reason there are 4 generators, we can operate on 2 500 kW generators. However, if one of the 2 generators fail and we're running at pretty much maximum load, then we're going to be in trouble with our power. So we have 4 generators, but we actually have 2 as backup for the 2 that will be running. So we should be in pretty good shape. We lose one, another one of these generators will kick in and keep us at full power. So we could actually lose 2 of the original generators, and the 2 backup generators would kick in, and we should be in really fine shape. So generators generators to backup generators. What's broadcasting without power? We've got you covered every which way here. That's because we're above it all. Alrighty, folks, here comes some of my favorite slides. This one in particular is our third tertiary, we call it the tertiary backup source. It is the Earth engine. It runs totally on rare earth magnets. Each unit runs for about 13 years, so they say. We shall see. And each unit generates about 20 kW of power. They are 5 feet by 5 feet by 5 feet, so they're not terribly large. And we will be implementing these in various sections of the Panorama setup. Initially, we'll put them on lights and cameras and things like that to be sure that they're totally reliable and we don't have any problems with them. And we'll gradually begin to implement them into some of the point-to-point stations and some of the low-power FM stations. And the interesting part about it is that they're very economical to operate. As of this time, you cannot buy them. They will lease them to you, and the way they lease them to you is based on the amount of power that you use, and they give you a reduced cost on the power. So if you were buying your power from Florida Power and Light, it would cost you a lot less to have these. They run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and your power bill would be less and allegedly more reliable. I've seen them, I've touched them, I've felt them, I've been to their factory. I have a lot of faith in those folks. They've done a really great job putting it together. We shall see. It's called the Rare Earth Engine, first broadcasting system to implement this leading edge technology. That's because we're above it all. Alrighty, check this out. Our restrooms, shower, and first aid facility, it's going to be really fantastic. Yes, in addition to that, there's lockers in that room, and it's right next to our conference room and right next to our shop. We also have a first aid station in there. We have an AED defibrillator machine, a resting cot. In case somebody gets really sick, we can put them into the resting cot, and it's going to be pretty spectacular. Look at the colors and so forth. Isn't that going to be great? It's always being prepared, and we want to be very prepared. You never can tell what will happen in the environment we're working in the very top of this building, so we are set for just about anything. Restroom, shower, and first aid facility all in one cluster right there beside our transmitter room, right on our main floor there. And just when you thought it couldn't get any better, what about the bunkhouse? And right next to the shop and the conference room, we have this bunkhouse. It's also next to the first aid station. So there are 4 of these bunk beds with little desks underneath them. On the desk will be a high-speed computer, high-speed internet. How about a coffee machine? And in the same room, there's also a little refrigerator. So if you're pulling an all-nighter, all of a sudden it's 4 o'clock in the morning, you're waiting for some parts to show up, and you need to get some rest before they come rolling in at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. Come up here, climb up to the top of the bunk and get some rest. And if you can't sleep, come on down to the bottom, go over there and sit in front of your computer and check out what's happening. So this is very, very cool. There'll be 4 of these in a very small room. This isn't going to be the Ritz-Carlton, but it's going to be very nice, and a little small room with 4 of these bunk beds, so we call it the bunkhouse. Now, this might be the best room in the entire house. This is the conference room. It's located on the transmitter floor, and guess what? 3 75-inch digital TV sets on the walls, 3 high-speed internet computers and monitors on the table down there. There'll be a conference telephone system there with, I don't know exactly what you call it, but you can make conference calls and everybody can sit around it and talk at the same time without having to hold a receiver in their hand. There'll be 6 Zoom cameras for Zoom video calls. If you need to do a Zoom call, 6 cameras are set up in the room to do that. 12 comfortable chairs, a refrigerator, a pantry, and obviously everything is on our diesel generator backup systems. So you need some room to lay out those schematics. You need some time for a little head time, a little thinking time to try to figure out what to do next. Can't figure out why this thing doesn't work. You got all the schematics laying out there. You got a couple of your buddies in there working with you. And once again, we got you covered. And it's going to be comfortable, quite nice to work in. Yeah, it's a wooden floor. It's going to be very, very nice. Look at the ceiling. Going to be a beautiful ceiling, nice lighting. Be able to see exactly what's going on. But it's probably going to be the nicest room up there. Oh yeah, in addition to that, you can look out from, how many floors are we going to be up? Like 87, 88 floors. You'll be able to look out and look at the ocean and look at the city of Miami with these very, very heavy-duty hurricane-proof windows. Piece de resistance.
Hello everyone, my name is Tony Alejandre and I'm President and COO of Panorama Rooftop Inc. I have 40 years experience in the communications, advertising, media, consumer events production, and marketing business. Most recently for the company, my role was to initiate a deal between Spanish Broadcasting Systems and Panorama Tower, which we started in 2017 and successfully were able to finalize by 2019. Spanish Broadcasting Systems has brought WCMQ, WRMA, and WXDJ to the rooftop of Panorama. We would like for you to join us in doing the same as well for NBC and Telemundo. In my role as president of the company, I was to negotiate the license agreement to allow us to expand to a master antenna system on the rooftop of the building, which we have successfully done. We have signed the license agreement August 1st of last year. We're in the process of finalizing much of our deals with other radio stations, the federal government, and companies like yourself. My role moving forward is to be the developer of the project, deal with the architect, the general contractor, structural engineers, design and development team, etc. Paralleling with Ron, who will lead the technical aspects of the antenna, equipment, power, combiners, filters, transmission lines, etc. We look forward to having you on the rooftop with us. And now, I'll leave you in the very able hands of Ron Crider. Thank you very much for your attention, and let's make this happen.
Howdy, folks. I'm Ron Crider. I'm chairman, CEO, and the chief engineer. I'm also the conceptual engineer. That's the guy that comes up with these harebrained ideas in his head, and then I try to make them happen by getting the engineers and the designers and everybody to put it together. But it seems to have worked out quite well. So I'm the former owner of Y100 in Miami. That was 100.7 when I owned it. It was WMJR. 98.7 in Palm Beach, which is the Gator. Had 5 stations in Colorado, the Radio Colorado Network, and WIBQ in Sarasota. I was also the president and founder of Lodestar Tower Company in Palm Beach. Lodestar was a developer of a number of tall towers during the Docket 80-90 era in the 1980s. We built a 1,549-foot tower in Orlando, a 2,000-foot tower in Charlotte, a 1,049-foot multi-purpose tower in Jacksonville, a large T-bar tower in New Orleans, 1,049 feet, and I originally was one of the owners of a 1,049-foot candelabra tower on Pembroke Road in Hollywood, Florida. Just to be clear, I'm not a tower builder, I'm a tower developer, and with my associates, we developed all of these towers that we leased to many other people, to broadcasters and networks and communications companies and so forth. So my experience is primarily in developing towers for lease, which we owned for many years and then ended up selling them. Many of our towers became the basis for American Tower Company. I've also built numerous small cell towers all over the United States and Central and South America. So my background is primarily in the tower business. Every place I've ever been, I've built towers. We built towers in Colorado and cell towers just about everywhere, and they've been very good to us. It's a good business to be in. We like the tower business, and this Panorama thing is the coup de grace for me, and I'm very proud to be a part of it. I'm very proud to have Tony doing all the heavy lifting for us. So anything we can help you with, you let us know. You know how to reach us. I'm 772-913-2209. You can phone me or text me there, and you can also reach directly out to me at roncrider@gmail.com. And thank you so much for watching this PowerPoint or video